If you like the Beatles, I hate you. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. Wait, please don't leave. I promise I'll change. A warning to anyone subscribed to me. My introductions will continue to get exponentially weirder. There's nothing more arrogant than a 15-year-old Beatles fan. And you know what? I'll say it. The Beatles are not the apex of music. I'm brave enough to voice the truth online. Are you? All the Beatles knew how to do was jaywalk and have atrocious bangs. Why were they so long? What were they hiding? Seriously, what were these things? Not since the advent of Twitter feminist bangs have I had such a visceral reaction to a haircut. How does one even obtain this style outside of seeking a barber with Parkinson's? Shania Twain singing Let's Go Girls is better than the entire Beatles discography. And that's a fact. I don't mean to harp on the Beatles like this. Goodness, you can feel the bitterness ooze out of me. It's not so much the band that I dislike, but rather the pretension that radiates from their fans. Not all, but enough, where even someone as oblivious to the outside world, such as myself, has taken notice. If, like moi, you happen to be an internet-dwelling goblin, whose primary form of social interaction consists of scurrying past my family members on my quest to acquire various carbs from the kitchen, or, on occasion, being confronted by the woman across the street as she pleads for me to stop staring out of my window for hours on end because I'm starting to creep her kids out. Well, I'm sorry, Brenda, but that's not gonna happen. It's not that I'm intentionally staring down your precious spawn as they watch Paw Patrol or footage from the Nuremberg trial, whatever constitutes as children's entertainment. It's just that they happen to be within my line of vision. What am I supposed to do? Move? I've already made a commitment to that position for when I need to do my nightly screaming exercises. Tell little Ajax and Kaylee, tough tits, welcome to the real world. To which she responds, how do you know my kids' names? I yell, I plead the fifth. She says, you're not on trial. At this point, I just slammed the door in her face because she's been on my property for far too long. If you venture into the comment section of any old school song or classical music, you will inevitably see an annoying little cretin boasting from their soapbox that they only listen to real music, not the unintelligible drivel that passes from music these days. The arrogance, the gall. Oh, I can just imagine them finishing typing up that comment and then proceeding to shove an AC/DC album down their throat. It's vinyl too. It's quite impressive, I'm not gonna lie. Lisa Ann is seething with envy. Whenever I read or more often hear remarks like this because I'm nosy and like eavesdropping, my tiny body fills with rage. I begin to quiver with anger like a chihuahua, but less intimidating. There's no such thing as real music. Good taste in music does not exist. Good taste does not exist, period. Now when I say this, it is not that all music is equal in terms of clever lyricism or production value. However, in my opinion, there is no such thing as an objectively good song. My frustration stems from these types of people claiming to be the only arbitrators of what constitutes real music. Whenever I hear someone smugly making the claim that they have good taste in music, all that I hear is, hello, I think that listening to songs created prior to my conception makes me an intellectual giant. Sorry, Thomas, but wearing all black and listening to classical rock will not change the fact that you're a disappointment to your parents. I want to shove these people in a locker. They activate the 80s high school bully in me. The only other person who manages to rustle my jimmies this hard is Ted Cruz. Do you ever see Nicki Minaj fans trash-talking Mozart? Huh? No, because barbs are decent people. A bit mentally unstable, sure, but decent people nonetheless. What I wouldn't give to stage a fighting match between various artists' fandoms. Could you imagine DMX fans versus BTS stans? Who do you think would emerge the victors? Now, DMX used to straight up bark in the beginning of his songs, and any listener who managed to connect with that artistic choice is definitely unhinged and ready to fight. But K-pop stans are legitimately scarier than most gangs. Not to mention they're much better organized and with cuter outfits. So frankly, I wouldn't underestimate them. Certain fandoms would be a little too pacifist, though. Think that of Lauryn Hill or Erykah Badu. They'd be too busy lighting incense candles. Next time you hear someone utter the nonsensical statement that they have good taste in music, just start pelting them with small twigs or empty water bottles. Any type of litter will suffice. In time, they will begin to associate the punishment with their arrogant statement and cease repeating it. Call that operant conditioning. Yes, I did take AP Psych, and I'm not afraid to pathetically flex that. You know what, now that I'm on this topic, let's talk about how good taste doesn't exist at all. High culture is an elitist myth perpetuated by the wealthy to make them feel better about being boring. It is the most exhausting form of creative and artistic self-pleasuring. Just because your emotionally distant but wealthy parents played Tchaikovsky to you while you were floating around in the Swarovski-encrusted abyss that was your waspy mother's womb doesn't make you better than me, Diane. I know you pop pills. Don't act like you're better than rolling down your windows and blasting Holla Back a Girl until you get a fine for public disturbance. What constitutes real art, anyway? Who decides? Do you know? Because I do. It's a committee of fat cats smoking a pipe chiseled out of dinosaur bones, gathering at the biannual meetings at the penthouse of a man who will in a few months be investigated for crimes against humanity. The only way to gain an invite is to provide documented evidence that your family's actions have resulted in the deaths of at least 100,000 people. Bonus points if all of those deaths occurred outside of Europe. Various cultural artifacts are placed on a lit-up podium at the center of the room by butler number 1, who is required to wear a muzzle because once he giggled at a joke that one of the Rockefellers made and they did not enjoy the feminine cadence of his voice. The artifacts range from that year's hottest albums to clothing. The host then asks the attendees, trashy or classy? To which they hold up either the yay or nay side of their bidding panel. Sorry, Megan Thee Stallion, but these people don't know what an H-Town hottie is. How do I know that these secret meetings take place? Back in 2015, I acted as the podium. Easiest 10K I've ever made. The downside is that I still have to pretend that Ronald Reagan is actually dead. You didn't hear that from me. Last time I checked, we do not live in a meritocratic system. So talent alone does not guarantee you a spot in the upper echelons of our culture. Widespread appeal means nothing, because according to the critic intelligentsia, the general populace liking something automatically makes it too commercial and therefore trash. I shall revel in the trash like the cultural raccoon that I am. That almost sounded like a slur. Once you realize that the concept of good taste is meaningless, that's when you experience real freedom, baby. The gauche becomes beautiful. The ugly transforms into the stylish. Fake jewels are just as valid as real ones. Diamonds are worthless hunks of pressurized coal, whose value in the jewel market and our culture is completely manufactured. They are not rare. They are not special. They should not be that expensive. They are laced with blood. I once squared up against a 6th grader for a ring pop I found on the ground at my local park. I go on the swing set every afternoon as a substitute for therapy. So far it has not worked, but it did get me a place on a neighborhood watch list. They didn't even use a good photo, despite me sending the police several of my best selfies. I can say with all confidence that that piece of sugar jewelry that I throat chopped that youngin' for is worth more than any ring from Tiffany's. Every time I pass by a jewelry store, I yell, I know your secret. You can't hide. And then the owner responds, what did you say? I can't hear you. The glass is too thick. At that point, I just leave because my embarrassment has eclipsed my indignation. I spit in the face of minimalism. I embrace the tacky. There is nothing better than camp. Unironic self-expression can certainly be cringe, unbearably so at times. But so what? What is the point of the individualism that these old queens kept hammering on about during their time at theater camp or whatever event this painting is meant to depict, if you can't dress like an anime character while running everyday errands? Our ancestors toiled away under grueling conditions so that one day one of their descendants could wear a decapitated Kermit the Frog head as a brooch. At least that's what I tried to relate to airport security. Oh wow, we get it. You took a single course in postmodernism and whatever, and now think it's cool to disregard the entirety of established literary canon and art just because it's not populist enough. Your activism is a farce, baby doll. That's where you're wrong, you pedantic inner voice that has to oppose all of my hot takes in an attempt to create some sort of in-universe debate. We are not in the symposium, honey. We're in the gladiator pit. I genuinely appreciate the classics. It's just that I don't only appreciate the classics. Vivaldi's Four Seasons, banger after banger. It gets me throbbing every time. But Miss Minaj's verse in Monster, that was a cultural reset. I awoke a brand new woman. If Mozart was alive today, I guarantee you he would be popping his diseased Austrian bussy to this rap. You know why? Because game recognizes game. Miss Amadeus would be a bard, wouldn't he? Messy little freak. Beethoven would definitely be Team Cardi, though. Understandable considering that he's deaf. In conclusion, if you turn your nose up at every element of pop culture, let me let you in on a little secret. You're not an intellectual, you're a wiener. I see you tapping your leg to 24K magic. It's okay. It's okay. Just let it happen. Thank you for watching, and remember, just as long as the IRS doesn't find out, you're fine. Shout out to my patrons! If you would like to donate to my Patreon, the link is in the description down below, or somewhere up on the screen if I manage to figure out how to do so. Bye!